Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Walking Dead mid-season finale video. So much craziness, so much stuff to set up for the back half of the season, so I try to cover everything. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. There is a new round of the Walking Dead giveaway going on now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. Be sure to click that bell to enable alerts so you don't miss anything during the break. But let's do it. MVP of the episode, either Daryl, who went full Negan depending on which way you go on it, or Spencer, who just totally went for that brass ring, fell a little bit short, did not quite stick the landing. But it's okay, I'm sure Rosita found somebody else to have dinner with that night. But that was kind of funny, like she holds him in such contempt, but she still relented and was like, yeah, okay, I'll have dinner with you, whatever. But the whole thing about this episode is that they're finally coming to the conclusion that they need to come together. They even teased it in the promo, we need to work together to do something about Negan. So that is all March to War. That's like the next volume in the comics, so that's what they're going to work through the back half of the season, and then they'll start teasing All Out War. And I know everybody's asking, who do those boots belong to? There's a new person that they cast, so I'll talk about that as I work through top 10 WTF. But here we go, number 10, Maggie versus Gregory. Maggie for president of Hilltop. You can see exactly what they're setting up here. The thing about Maggie is that, because of what this episode was implying, how they're going to start fighting back, how they want to be hopeful, Maggie is effectively invincible, or I should say untouchable is a better word, inside the writer's room. So if you're making a short list of characters that will probably never die, at least anytime soon, Maggie is close, if not at the top of that list, along with like Rick, Michonne, Daryl, baby Judith. So give the pregnant lady the apple. They really want to make Gregory seem like a super asshole, but he's a comic book character. He has a very specific comic book arc, so you could totally read ahead and find out where that goes, because it's going to be right out of the comics. So if you actually do want to read ahead in the comics during the break, March to War starts out with Walking Dead volume 109 and goes through 114, and then right after that is All Out War Part 1. Number 9. Comic book Negan shaves himself just like Rick in Rick's house. Very different scene from when Rick shaved his beard back at the beginning of season 6. Remember how big his beard had grown? He was more beard than man at that point. But now, the beard is totally coming back, so it's so hilarious that Negan is losing the beard. Beard equals power in The Walking Dead. So Rick's beard is like slowly growing back out just as Negan shaves his. So it's a bit of a hat tip to the shift in power on the show now. Now that Rick's like come to this realization, oh yeah, we can fight Negan, and Negan's just getting too comfortable in the suburbs. But the whole thing with Negan's beard has been talked about. It had something to do with Jeffrey Dean Morgan being on The Good Wife and having to have a beard on that TV show when he came on to Walking Dead, so he had to keep the beard for a little while. But comic book Negan has never had a beard, so now he's just closer to comic book Negan. The really funny part about this isn't so much Negan though, is it's the look on Judith's face. Just when you consider that we're on like maybe our 10th or 12th baby Judith, I don't know how many different kids that they've recast as Judith, just because the timeline of The Walking Dead moves so slowly, but kids age so fast. We're running into the same problem with Carl too, so I'll talk about Chandler Riggs at the end of this. There's a lot of talk about him re-signing his contract, but that's a completely separate thing. So number 8, Daryl finally busts out with the help of that note in the key. So the handwriting still looks like Sherry's handwriting, and the room that he busts into looks like Dwight's. Like he suddenly realizes as he's looking around, like you see the TV set that Dwight was watching TV on, you see the peanut butter. The funny thing about the peanut butter, like Daryl just goes to town because he's so hungry. He's been so underfed on all that dog food they've been giving him, is that Norman Reedus is like, I can't stand peanut butter. But they probably had to shoot a couple versions of that scene. So when they were filming, he probably had to eat a whole bunch of peanut butter. But I love the way he acted when he was getting ready to leave that room. Like he's sitting in the chair, just kind of waiting for his opportunity, waiting for the conversation to die down nearby, and then sees the little model with the fortress and the soldiers and just upends the table, just like, screw this guy, whoever's room this is. So he may not have actually known that it was Dwight's, but I feel like he felt it was. So, whoever it was, he just wanted to trash it just a little bit. Just like, screw you saviors, you guys suck. So number 7, Negan versus Rick's kitchen. Makes some spaghetti, even sets a place for Lucille because who knows where Rick is. Well, I'm not waiting anymore. Pass the rolls. I love how passive Negan was in this episode. Usually he's up in everyone's faces, But in this episode, he was just trying to enjoy all the air conditioning, the nice kitchen, the food, just chill out, put his feet up. So it really took the entire episode for him to get pissed, and that was really only when Rosita took a shot at him. But the whole idea with scenes like this is that he's meant to feel like the unwelcome house guest that won't get out, like, dude, this is our house, you need to get out of here. So they just really wanted to beat you in the face with that. Now is the time to kick the saviors out of our house, talking about the safe zone people. Maybe we can agree on this, but did you guys feel like with the extra emphasis on Olivia in the episode, like that extra long scene with Tara that almost seemed kind of pointless, like she was getting ready to throw herself on a spear for Negan to save Judith, or just keep everything in Rick's house from spiraling out of control because she felt like it was her duty to protect Carl and Judith, that she was going to die at the end of the episode no matter what happened. Like anytime they focus this much on a C-list character like Olivia, you know they're getting ready for some big twist. They're going to pull the rug out from under you in some way. And just because this is the mid-season finale and they hadn't killed someone in a while, you almost sense that she's going to be one of the people to die. Spencer could have gone either way. He was the more fun kill. Like I was really happy they got rid of him. So number 6, Rick and Aaron make their way to the houseboat to look for supplies. So there's just all kinds of weapons, there are bullet holes and everything, there are a bunch of walker traps. So the whole point of this scene isn't so much that they're getting supplies, it's just an opportunity for Aaron to double down on Rick's cause. Like he's like, dude, I'm totally in on what we're doing, helping people, even if it means that we have to bargain with the saviors. I understand what you're doing, I'm with you. So the last couple of episodes, there's been this thing with people questioning Rick's leadership, people wondering what was going on. Like even Carl went to kill Negan because he wasn't satisfied with how far Rick was going. So this Aaron scene was really like the answer to that. Look, there are people that believe in what you're doing, that understand what's going on, the situation we're in. So they did have like a fun bait and switch where Aaron goes under and you're like, oh my God, did they just kill Aaron? Then he pops back up, I'm fine. That was kind of a metaphor for the episode where like everybody starts drowning, but then by the end they're all like, okay, we're fine, we're gonna fight Negan now. So number 5, they make it onto the boat and they find that middle finger on that piece of paper. That was so hilarious. You win, but you lose. I feel like the reason they included that was just so that they could have that moment later with the saviors picking it up and going, what the hell does this mean? You win, but you lose. Like that was meant to be more of a metaphor for the saviors. And then, number 4, who the hell are those boots? Like somebody's been peeping on them. And there's going to be a lot of debate about this during the break because there are a couple big characters that need to be introduced. And one of those is the Whisperers. Those are big characters. So there's a female character that leads them called Alpha. There's also another female character that leads another small group that's near Alexandria called Magna. So I think that this character is probably Magna just because she debuts before Alpha and the Whisperers do in the comics. So the thing about this is that they're really just teasing that somebody's watching them. You don't know if they're good, you don't know if they're bad, but there's a character that they're casting called Brienne, and they haven't announced which actress is playing her yet, so that's probably who this character is. And here's the thing about that. The name is not somebody from the comics, but she's supposed to be a tough female character who is the leader of another group. So they're basically casting either Magna or somebody from the Whisperers or somebody from a totally new group, but I do think that it's from one of the comic book groups. And the name they're using, that Brienne name, is just fake to misdirect people. So even though Whisperer War is something that happens way after All Out War, which is something that we're not even close to yet on the TV show, so you guys can let me know, who do you think these boots belong to? Magna or somebody from the Whisperers? So we can talk about that during the break. But number 3, Daryl goes full Negan on Fat Jerry. I love the way he performed this scene too, Norman Reedus. He was almost like an animal in this moment, just completely lashing out. But then Jesus comes in and he slowly comes back to consciousness. He starts acting like a human again. Okay, let's get out of here. And he grabs Rick's revolver. So very important for later. But can we just appreciate Norman Reedus' performance in this moment here? He's so great at underperforming Daryl. Daryl isn't somebody that emotes a lot. Like, he speaks in grunts. Like that later moment where he almost breaks down crying and hugs Rick. It's very underperformed compared to somebody like Jeffrey Dean Morgan doing his Negan, who just pontificates and just goes on and just talks his head off. So Daryl performances are like the exact opposite of that. So it's really funny to see him in scenes with characters that won't shut up. But number 2, shit goes crazy at the safe zone. Negan finally guts Spencer. Now we know why they kept him on the show that long. He was one of the most unlikable characters ever. I hated Spencer, so I am so glad that he's gone. The way he was killed was exactly like the comics, like Negan guts him with his knife. So they've actually been pretty good about doing like the big deaths exactly the way they happen in the comics. There are a couple characters that they don't have from the comics, like Daryl isn't a comic book character, and they didn't kill Abraham in the comics that way. He got killed a different way. So there are a few minor changes, but for the biggest deaths, they've been happening just like they did in the comics. And I love Eugene's performance here too. Just completely breaks down. Negan is taking him because he wants more bullets, and Eugene can make bullets. So even though it sounds like he's gonna go kill him, like I'm taking your bullet maker from you, it's just because he wants Eugene to mass produce ammo for the survivors, which is actually very dangerous considering that everyone wants to take them on now. So a lot of people were blaming Rosita for the deaths in this episode because she took a shot at Negan, but Spencer was killed before she ever took a shot, so that had nothing to do with Rosita. You could blame Olivia on Rosita, but the thing about that is that she was a relatively minor character. I don't feel like they really needed her on the show, so what they're doing here is they're giving you like the gore, like, oh my god, a couple people died that have been with us for a while, but they're holding off on really big A-list character deaths for season finale. So if you want to speculate on like really huge deaths, then just save that for whatever the season finale is going to be in episode 16. But it was really great seeing the way they played it. In the episode itself wasn't that crazy. Like there was just a lot of storylines that they had to wrap up so that they could get to this moment at the end where they all decide, hey, we're going to fight Negan. But number 1 was Rick getting the revolver back, everybody meeting at Hilltop. Better watch out now, the sheriff's back in town. So the only thing that would have made this scene better is if Rick had taken his hat off of Carl's head and put it back on, but that might have been too on the nose. You guys can let me know. Like, what did you think about that moment when Rick took his revolver back, checked the bullets, and just holstered it like, bam, time to get to business? The ending was the ending that they had needed to get to for a while. I feel like one of the big complaints for the last couple of episodes is that things had just gotten so depressing, but you can see why they wanted to do that. They wanted to have this big payoff moment where they all decide, based on Michonne's speech with Rick, hey, we're still standing here, we can fight back. And Rick's like, I realize that now. They just wanted to take their time getting to that moment, dragging the characters through the mud, making Negan feel like the unwelcome house guest. So now I feel like the show can be a little bit more fun because it can be all about them making their plans, marshaling forces to fight Negan. So now we actually have some momentum heading into the season finale when the show comes back. But you guys can let me know, like, what did you think of this first half of the season of The Walking Dead? There were a couple really crazy moments, but it was really just all about the reign of Negan, dragging everybody through the mud, the breaking of Rick Grimes. So whatever your complaints were about the first half of the season, I feel like it's going to be completely different in the back half. They tend to do that with The Walking Dead. Every 8 episodes, they try to change what the show is. So when it comes back, it should feel like a totally different experience, which I think is a really good thing. What's going to happen next is I'll do Westworld Season 2 predictions, then I'll do a Walking Dead trailer video for the rest of the season. So I'll try to get those videos up as fast as possible. While you guys wait for that to post, you can click here for my Walking Dead playlist, and you can click here to rewatch the Fast 8 trailer. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.